Steve, can you share with us the timeline of your family business? How did True Manufacturing come to be, and how have you seen the company evolve and grow since its inception?
So the idea for the company, my grandfather was working for a bakery company making ovens, and he was a tool and die maker. And he largely would go to the bar after work every day, and residential refrigeration was just coming into the home. So at the bar one night, he gets this idea to say, why don't we take this technology and put it into a commercial application, because all beer was cooled by ice. So that's really where the idea came. It came from a bar. Not many businesses can say that, right? But ours really did. But he had one problem. He's a sixth grade education guy. Didn't really have the business education. Was obviously not a Missouri graduate, business school. But fortunately, my father came along. He came back from World War II, 1945. He had saved up $10,000 of flight pay. He had also made some money gambling, playing poker. And then he arbitraged between the French franc and the British pound. So the company's all started on those kinds of things. So it's a good story in that way. So they started making cabinets in their backyard in Wellston, Missouri. And then he'd go around to the bars and try to sell these things. And so initially the thought was that ice-cooled beer was much better, tasting-wise, than electrically cooled. And so they had a big sales problem initially. They started making freezers also, and then in 1948, Harry Truman declared meat rationing. So they couldn't make enough freezers. That was the impetus of the company going in the late 1940s. They dealt with enormous challenges as post-World War II economy. Like in 1948, the sales of the company were $100,000. In 1949, $50,000. But these guys come out of the Depression, they saved their money, they were living off my mother's secretarial salary, and so they got through those periods, and then in the 1950s, things began to take off. They got a relationship going with the 7-Up company. They started making these same horizontal coolers for beer for 7-Up. They give them to the grocery stores, and on the basis of keeping 7 products in them, and that started a new relationship with them that then morphed to the Pepsi-Cola company, then morphed to the Coca-Cola company. And the Pepsi-Cola company came and said, you know, we see these vertical glass door display refrigerators being developed and used, and we think we should have our supply base do that for us as well. So they were one of the first companies to be asked to develop this all-new product. And so they started making these things, and so this was really all new technology of the day. And so their strategy back then, they had no these sophisticated test labs that we have today, of course. So they had a relationship in business in Puerto Rico. They would build these glass door prototypes. They'd send them to their customers in Puerto Rico. And if they worked in Puerto Rico, they figured it's going to work everywhere, right? So that's how they got that product developed. So that was a really revolutionary product, to take product that was sitting on the floor in a horizontal type presentation to a vertical glass door display presentation. Everybody as a human being reacts to that much better. So that was a big initiative of the 60s that really took off. Then in the 1970s, my brother, who graduated from Missouri in 1971, my father gave him this new mission. Let's go beyond this beverage business, beyond Coke and Pepsi. Let's go into the food service equipment business, making refrigerators and freezers for restaurants, for hotel kitchens. And there was all these manufacturers out there, and the last thing the world needed was another refrigerator for that application. And they went to the National Restaurant Show in 1972, and you know, no one really came in, and they were thought of as this cooler company that made coolers for Coke and Pepsi. But as we all know, Rob just did this incredible job, and today we make over 900 different types of refrigerators and freezers for that world. He led an incredible development of a sales company, built a whole sales force, led product development, worked closely with my father on all that, and through the 70s, 80s, 90s. And you would say about the early 1990s was when True finally ascended to the top of the market share world in that industry. And so along the way, I come in the early 1980s, and when I came in, you know, there was Grandpa, there was Uncle Art, there was 2 cousins, my brother. There really was nothing for me to do here at that time. It was still a very small company. But I had experience outside the United States, and so I went to look to develop our business outside the U.S. And so that was my mission. It was a wonderful mission. I loved it. And so that is a big part of our business today, is taking both the beverage and international food service around the world. And so the 80s, 90s, 2000s, seen great growth there. So we're exporting out to 93 different countries. And Today, we have, like I say, over 900 models, and we're a dynamic force to this day in food service, beverage markets, and now residential. We're making our residential effort, and that's also very interesting and beginning to go well.